Bomi explained what exactly happened last night. You suddenly understood. No wonder when Jungkook found you last night, he pulled you into his arms and hugged you tightly. It turned out that there was actually episodes you think about phone before he has been worried that you would run away from here, so he never wanted to return the phone to you. Young madam, young master really cares about you. Bhumi saw you lowered your head, not speaking. She was afraid that you would imagine things or that accidentally misunderstood Jungkook. So she talked behalf him. You smiled at her. You really know how to speak for him. She was little embarrassed. Young madam, you must be joking. I'm not speaking for young master. I'm telling the truth. You know it yourself, don't you? Yes, you know this time. You're not the only one who is thinking about it. He also have feelings for you. This was enough. Even he don't say it loud. You smiled since he was worried about you. You would stay in the villa and wait for news. You decided not to worry about what was going on outside for the time being. You was anxious before now. You can live peacefully. You would not use phone. You will wait for him. But even if he didn't mention it after coming, you didn't ask any more questions. Waiting for him every night become your habit. At the day you are bored, but there's always Bhumi and other maids accompany you. You don't have to do anything here. You are missing works. 30 weeks, 7 months of being pregnant. You thought that as long as there was new news, he would not hide it from you. At the day your phone vibrated, you checked thinking it will be Jungkook, but it was actually Kim Yuri. She sent message saying that she wanted to see you so suddenly. You have heavy feeling for a reason and it felt bad. You and she was good friends for so many years. After that day, you thought that you would probably not see her again in the future, so you replied that you have nothing to say to her. She called you. You didn't pick at first, but for the sake of past, you did after third rings. Why? Even if it was the last time, you would not want to see me. The last time? Your heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Are you willing to see me or not? She insisted you to meet for the last time. You were helpless. She had helped you so much and you couldn't hate her. She asked strange things. If not, then it would be fine, but what if it was? If something really happened to her, you would probably regret it for the rest of your life. Tell me the time and place. You felt uneasy. She said address, making you frown. It was hotel. You went to ask Bhumi if you can go out. She was stunned, then smiled, telling that young master allow you to go out. He really have a heart. You can freely walk in the future, and he also arranged separate driver for you to serve. You are really in complicated since you are giving them trouble, but they just smiled. You originally wanted to go yourself to look for Yuri because you felt that you need to say things clearly, but driver would accompany. You compromised. The driver was middle-aged man. He didn't drive in speed because safety is priority. Young master, tell him to keep safe drive speed. After all, he sent you to the location that Yuri gave you. Driver said that he would got. I am here to find my friend. She said she's here. You don't need to come with me, sir. Just call me Uncle Sai. You thanked him since he told that he would got. He lead you the way you told him, the room number that Yuri gave you. When you reached out the hotel room that she's supposed to staying in, you rang the bell but didn't get any response. You pressed the bell button for long but no one opened the door. You sent her message but few minutes passed. You didn't get response. Feeling uneasy, you were about to call but found door was not actually locked. as if she was deliberately waiting for you to come. You looked at Uncle Sai, being stunned for a few seconds. You went in and saw their condition was not so good. You felt nervous. Yuri, I'm here. Where are you? You called for a few times, but no one answered. You passed by the bathroom and heard the sound of water dripping on the ground. You hesitated before checking. The scene inside made your face pale and your body trembled uncontrollably as you shouted, Yuri! Park Jae-sang was standing beside door. When he heard your voice, he felt something was not right, so he walked to the door and saw you stumbling towards him. Uncle Sai quickly called an ambulance. He didn't understand what was going on, but saw your face paled. It really scared him. He quickly called the ambulance and rushed towards you, asking what's the matter. You asked for his help and he followed you to the bathroom. When he saw you were sweating profusely, this incident had caught everyone off guard. This was the first time you had faced such a situation. Looking at the large pool of blood in the bathroom, you almost fainted, but you supported yourself. Kim Juri, she tried to harm herself. You had been standing there, not even hearing what Uncle Sai told you to sit down. You were too scared. Looking at your condition, he couldn't help but took out his phone. Uncle Sai, are you calling Jungkook? He stopped to look at you, giving strange look. You tell him not to call and not to tell him about this matter. This has nothing to do with him, even it's big matter. He thought that you didn't want to worry him. That's why you didn't want to call Jungkook. All the way hospital, Uncle Sai helped you to bring Yuri and she is in the emergency. Hotel room locked the location and checked the surveillance cameras to find out what had happened there. You already called her brother anxiously, but Secretary Susie picked up the calls. They are on the way to hospital. Uncle Sai told you to go as he will look after there and inform, but you didn't move at all. You and Uncle Sai's clothes are covered in blood. Both's current appearance was terrifying. That waiting patients are scared and stay away from you both. Your eyes were red from crying and hair was messy, but fortunately you are a girl. If you are a man, everyone would almost think that you harmed her. You waited there for half an hour beside emergency door. You had to wait until you find out that she was safe and sound. Sokjin and Susie's expression was doubtful as you couldn't talk properly on the phone and only send message telling that your sister is in trouble, hurry up and go to the hospital. Hearing your shaky voice, Susie guessed but didn't dare to think in heart. There's something big might happen you to react like that. After 15 minutes, Sokjin and Susie came and saw what's the matter. Yuri had lost so much blood you were afraid, looking at her brother's cold case. You were too direct to him. When you call him, it was rude. If Yuri find out, she will be make fun of you. What's going on? Your shoulder was held. The aura on his body was especially like that of a family member and it made you feel very safe. Your nose was even more sore as you bite your lower lip. Couldn't say anything but tears kept falling. You cried badly. He felt his heart thump. It was as if something sharp was piercing his heart. He saw you covered in blood. You are not in your right condition to explain anything. So Uncle Sai tell everyone what he knew and witnessed. Because he also don't know much why your friend suddenly asked you to come. Is the person inside now Yuri? You felt sorry. You blame yourself, but Sokjin asked Susie to take care of you. He will look after his sister. Susie brought you to nearby hotel and asked you to take a shower, then change the clean clothes. Uncle Sai also did. You wanted to say, but Secretary Susie told you that Mr. Kim will handle, so you go back to rest. But you refused. She was unable to convince you, so you again returned to the hospital to see. Sokjin frowned, seeing you there, so you could only explain that you wanted to wait there with them. He didn't say anything. You sat down on the chair. You found your legs badly trembling. Susie spotted you with concern. After our emergency door opened, all quickly stood up, but large hands caught you. Your eyes coincidentally met his calm eyes. Be careful, he said with deep voice. You nodded. Doctor called the family member and Sokjin went front. Doctor informed that Yuri was out of danger. However, she had lost her blood, so she's weak. Her cut was deep. She might have lost her life if delay her to bring into the hospital. After hearing she's fine now, your heart that had been hanging finally calmed down. Your legs went soft and you fell backwards. Susie immediately came shouting, Miss you fainted due to anxiety. You were put to the hospital ward next to Yuri's. Susie went to see hospital procedures. Sokjin was the one who carried you. Susie was confused because it was so strange that the way he treated you was not normal friends. He hugged you slightly and brought you to the bed as if elder brother was carrying his younger sister. Could it be because you and Yuri were good friends, so Kim Sokjin also treated you as his younger sister? Susie was confused, but well, Mr. Kim is always sensible. He knew what he should do or shouldn't. She didn't need to worry about him. Uncle Sai stand beside your ward for long. He didn't know what he should do. He felt that you came with him, so he must follow you. He also felt little strange when Sokjin carried you to the ward. There was no ambiguous relation between twos, so it's better not to tell young master. It might affect their relationship in the future. Sokjin asked to call two servants to take care of his sister. After 20 minutes, you wake up and saw that Sokjin was guarding a chair not far from your bed. The ward was quiet. You apologized, making him frown. He was not happy with your attitude. He didn't know why, but he didn't want to see you apologizing to others, especially to him, so he said not to apologize. You asked the condition of Yuri. He informed that she would be transferred to the normal ward within 24 hours. She is still in the intensive care ward. He told you not to worry, but you are still worried. You felt that there was a reason for her to call you before. You was angry before. That's why you didn't care, but you never expect her to give up her life just for a few words. Or perhaps it was some other reason. In short, this reason must have something to do with you and Jungkook. Otherwise, why she would do that after calling you to see last time? Sokjin didn't blame you because there must be something between you and Yuri to come to each other, but cutting on and harm herself, what would the bigger conflict escalate to? When he looked at you with some gaze, that as if he was inquiring you, of course, you could see the meaning in his eyes. It was just that the matters between you and Yuri were too complicated. Sorry, I can't tell you for the time being. You stubbornly looked up at him. You couldn't tell before the truth revealed. After all, he is the brother of Yuri's. If you didn't handle this matter properly, Yuri might hate you. Originally, he was angry, resentful, and sad, but Yuri was laying in the bathtub. She looked at you weakly, telling that she didn't want to live. You felt your heart ache in the instant. You felt like a devil, as if it was you who forced her to walk this path. If you are not willing to tell me, it doesn't matter. He went out telling you to rest for a while before he sent you back to home. Yuri is now safe in intensive care. You thought about it and felt that since you could not go in now, you could not stay here all the time in case Jungkook found out. So you told him you will come back late and with that, you bid goodbye to Mr. Kim, leaving him behind. You turned to thank him. After all, he was the one who opened the ward and placed you here. He raised his hand coldly to look at the time, then said in a deep voice, "My company still has matters to deal with. You can go back first." You paused. You thought that he would be here with Yuri, but didn't expect but the intensive care ward had someone to take care, so maybe it will be waste of time. So you felt relieved and left the hospital with Uncle Sai. On the way back to Villa, your mood was not good still. You looked outside the window. That sceneries keep moving back and forth. Your mind keep thinking about Kim Yuri's body laying in the bathtub and heart beating rapidly. In these 24 hours, the intensive care nurse will take care of her, right? You are physically and mentally exhausted. Uncle Sai talked about that. Yuri is lucky. Nothing had happened to her. You had closed your eyes but opened back and looked at Uncle Sai. At first you hesitated, but he told you to rest assured he will not speak randomly about today's matter. When you come back to Haijung Villa, Bhumi came to welcome but was confused because both clothes had been changed. The clothes they wear when they leave the villa wasn't same. She looked on Uncle Sai and understand there must be some trouble. She had worked here for long, so after you left for room, she asked Sai, but he only told that they run into trouble. It wasn't big deal. But looking at Bhumi's curious, he briefly explained what had happened and said not to tell this to young master. She nodded. Her good friend suddenly harmed herself. Then she must have been shocked. I will comfort her. I will not say anything about this matter. It is getting late. Uncle Sai should go back and rest early. Your mind had been playing negatively. You sat there in daze when Bhumi bring a cup of hot soup. You didn't hear her voice at all and seeing hot bowl of steaming soup. Kim Yuri's appearance suddenly came late in a pool of blood. Gradually, the bowl of fragrant soup turned into blood that emitted a fishy smell that attacked your vision and brain. You trembled. Bhumi noticed and frowned, coming closer to you, but you suddenly screamed and knocked the bowl down suddenly. She was so shocked. "No, young madam, your hand." You only felt a burning pain in your hand and realized what you have done. She widened her eyes in confusion. "You're so annoyed and bite lower lip. I'm sorry, Bumishi, I just." She came forward to comfort you. Since she knew the matter of you being like this, everything will be okay. She told not to panic and she will bring you soup later. Before she was about to get ice cube for you, what happened? Both suddenly widened eyes. Hearing deep voice came from outside. Your expression changed. He came back. He appeared in the room. You looked at him in astonishment. Bhumi greeted. When he entered the room, he saw the story straight on the ground and was stunned for a moment, then saw your pale face. "What's going on?" Your heart rate speed up and subconsciously looked at Bhumi. She reacted very quickly and rushed in front of you to answer. "I'm sorry, young master. I was careless and scalded, young madam." "You are stunned, Bhumishi. You are scalded." He frowned and looked at your fingers. He just realized that your white skins are red. His expression changed and immediately come to your side before grabbing your hand, pulling you into the bathroom to wash with cold water and coldly scolded. "Go and get the burn cream." She was stunned before running to get. You blankly let him wash your fingers' heat. You looked at the tap water and it suddenly turned into fresh blood. You pulled your hand, immediately screaming. He was also frightened by your sudden cry, but quickly calmed down and asked with deep concerned voice, "Did I hurt you? Should I turn the water off a little?" A low and hoarse male voice sounded in your ear from behind, surrounded by his aura. You came back to your senses, then stared at him. His eyes were pitch black. You suddenly reached out to hug him tightly. Although you threw yourself into his arms to give him a hug, that was worth being happy about, but your appearance today was really strange. So it made him think. His hand landed on your shoulder. What happened? No, I didn't. You shook your head and find your comfortable position to put your face into his neck. My hand is hurting. He frowned unhappily. Yoon Bhumi is too careless. When she does things, she scalded you until like this. Tomorrow I will replace her. You quickly shook your head. Don't change her. He wanted to replace Bhumi, made you panic. It's not her problem. The soup was placed on the table. It was I who was not careful and couldn't hold it steady. It was nothing to do with her. Really, you nodded. She was much more obedient and quick witted than you had imagined. Although she said that she knew about that matter, she chose to protect you when Jungkook came just now. It made Jungkook think that your face was pale because you were burnt. So when you spoke for Bhumi, he thought that girl was smart and attentive. Wouldn't it be unfair to replace her for no reason? Okay, since you like her, I will let her accompany you. I will give her a rise. You thanked him. Bhumi, bring burnt cream and apply it before leaving. You are not in mood to say anything to him. You are afraid if you talk, you will say something wrong. So you excused yourself and quickly climbed onto the bed to sleep. He didn't stop either and let you rest. He kissed your forehead before went to fresh and come to lay down, holding you securely. You couldn't sleep at all. You hardly sleep in the middle of night and again got nightmare. Yuri calling you to save her. She was laying in the pool of blood. Vian, save me. Vian, I don't want to live anymore. Let me die. You suddenly blinked and saw Yuri and Jungkook very close, embracing each other. Your eyes met his cold eyes as he smiled. A woman with a wild seed like you is not worthy of my love. I said I like you, but I was just playing with you. Do you really think I would like a woman like you? Dream on. He scoffed, wrapping his hands around Yuri's waist. You, Vian, why don't you understand? You are no longer a unmarried girl. No man will really like you. Their strange laugh was very penetrating. It stirred your dream badly. Your whole body was covered in cold sweat. You run from them, but they're like ghosts, keep following you. You cried and finally sat up. Sunlight already rose, and the blue sky and the sea. It was already dawn. His figure had long disappeared by your sight. You took your phone to see. It was already past 9 in the morning. You didn't know if Yuri was awake or not, so you went to wash up. The burns on your fingers are not serious. You changed your clothes before ready to go to the hospital. Is young madam going out? I will accompany you today, okay? Bhumi suggested. You wanted to reject, but thinking for a while you nodded. Uncle Sai drove the car. After arriving, you three straight went to ward. Susie immediately greeted you and informed that Yuri was already awake. You felt relieved. She asked you to follow her to the ward. You were stunned for a moment before quickly following. Yuri woke up. That was really great. She's finally, thank God. For some reason, you suddenly had tears in your eyes. When Susie saw, she immediately reacted and handed you tissue. You awkwardly take it and thanked her. Bhumi helped you to wipe off the tears. Young madam is fine. Just now, she was a little anxious and sweated. I have already wiped it off for you. Susie couldn't help raising her brow. Suddenly, she got thought of that man. She still remembered the first time they met. Jungkook appeared in the restaurant and acted strangely. She was confused that time, but now she thought about it. Your identity was not simple, she smiled. That's true, although winter is still not gone yet. If I walk too quickly, I will also sweat. She also wiped her forehead and showed. Yuri was leaning against the pillow behind, feeling guilty. When she woke up, Sokjin was there. and she almost scared out of her wits and almost fainted again. She didn't expect to find elder brother to be there instead of Ju. She thought if Sokjin and Ju meeting, if she lost her position in Kim family in order to obtain Jungkook, she would lose more than she could gain. Whether it was her identity or her feelings, she, Kim Yuri, wants it all. Why? Sokjin asked coldly, without trace of emotion. She was so scared that she keep lowered her head. What should she say? She never thought that Sokjin would know about this, nor did she think that he would be involved. It could only be said that she has miscalculated. She didn't paid much attention when she had cut the skin. At first, she had only cut a little bit, but blood had been flowing little, so she used a bit of strength, and that shook her. She felt that she really did a trip to the gates of hell. She felt a wave of fear, and her eyes turned pale. Tears fell down. Sokjin frowned. You cry when I ask you a question. Where was your courage when you almost killed yourself? Elder brother, he felt annoyed when he saw her like that. He didn't care about her at all. However, he didn't show any signs on surface and apologized being immature. Susie came knocking the door, informing that her friend came to see. Yuri's face immediately pale and loudly shouted, No, I don't want to see her. Everyone was shocked. Sokjin raised his brow frowning. No, she nodded. I don't want to see her. Secretary Bay, tell her to leave quickly. She didn't know if Sokjin and you met before or not, but she can't take risk. She would never let them to see each other. In any case, she couldn't give them any chance to meet. Sokjin frowned, looking at his sister. Yesterday, your actions was like that careful sister and had been worried that something would happen to her, that even lost your soul, but Yuri's attitude was different. It's so opposite. You clearly heard it from outside. Susie awkwardly looked at you and tried to explain. You bite your lower lip as if you are enduring something. As you weakly smile, her body is still weak. Let her not be so agitated. Since she doesn't want to see me, I will go back. You didn't care about Susie's reaction and left from there. Yuri also heard it from inside and felt relieved, but then noticed sharp gaze. His gaze was like a drill as he stared at her with a probing gaze. She immediately became nervous and stuttered, explaining that she didn't want to see you for just now, but Sokjin cut her off, not wanting to hear her explanation because he simply was not interested in the women's conflicted, but told her to behave well because yesterday you sent her to the hospital. She should be thankful to you, but instead she showed her attitude that Kim family didn't taught her. With that, he didn't want to hear anything from her and walked out, gesturing Susie to look after her. Yuri wanted to jump off the bed and chased after him, but he walked fast. She even got down from the bed, but her body was weak and almost fell. But luckily, Susie held her in time, asking her to go back to the bed and rest. No, elder brother misunderstood me. I need to explain to elder brother. She pushed Susie, but she was really weak. Susie sighed helplessly. You also know Mr. Kim's temper. If you forcefully chase him out at this time, Mr. Kim would be angry. She only realized that security bay is right, so she didn't insist to go and asked if you and elder brother had met, making Susie stun, but Yuri rotated her words not to make her suspect. She had chosen to attempt suicide, so she need forgiveness from Sokjin. If not, it will be not good for her. Susie comforted her to rest. Yuri really wanted to bicker with his secretary, but couldn't because Susie is the right hand of Sokjin's and most trusted person. So Yuri need to be good to her. Bomi and Jae-sang followed you from behind. Bomi was so angry. How could Yuri treated you like that? You saved her yesterday and she don't want to see you. You could understand her, so you didn't want to say anything. Before, you didn't want to see her. When you were disappointed, you probably wouldn't have gone to the hospital to look for her, much less find out that she harmed her up. Until now, you hadn't recovered from the incident. Bomi couldn't help but said that Yuri is heartless. She didn't even thank and shouted at you. She thought you must be never sad for that. Jae-sang quickly gave Bhumi a look telling that she said wrong things, so she apologized, but you shook your head, continued walking out of the hospital. When he was about to sit into the car, familiar voice stopped from not so far. You saw Sokjin coming with his expressionless and calm face. You had a touch of familiarity when you saw him, so you walked to him. Mr. Kim, he nodded, glancing at the two of people behind. Shall we find a place nearby to sit? You're surprised and looked up at him, Mr. Kim. You saved Yuri as her elder brother. I naturally have to thank you. You waved your hand. You were a good friend with Yuri, so it's kind of your responsibility as a friend to not let her die alone. You didn't say further about current situation. You are no longer friend with her. Sokjin came to inquire about the matter because he trusts or suspects you. Bhumi and Park Jae-sang followed you like protective bodyguards, thinking that this man might be courting their young madam. That was not true. Sokjin was staring at you and he knew he was being rude, but he couldn't help it. They looked too alike. Every time he saw you, he felt even more strongly in his heart. It was a familiar feeling. Could it be that the blood relationship between relatives was guiding him? Last night he obtained the investigation information that Susie gave him. All the detailed information about your background. He has spent the night reading all the information, not even missing single word. He discovered that not only was this girl's temperament very familiar to that woman's, but even their way of speaking and handling matters was very similar. If it wasn't for their different appearance, he would probably think that they were the same person. There was something in his heart that he wanted to say but didn't dare to admit it. After all, this matter was very important. If anything went wrong, two people might be hurt. Therefore, he still needed to be careful. Bhumi was originally wanted to reject it, but he looked like a gentleman, so after your agreement, she didn't say anything, but you need to protect young madam. Sokjin led you to the nearby cafe. Bhumi wanted to come along, so you can't really refuse her and tell her to stay a little far because Sokjin wanted to inquire about matter. Uncle Sai and Bhumi stand a little far away from the place. You were sitting opposite of Sokjin and faced the place. Since it was quite even, its nearby hospital. After sitting there for a few minutes, he suddenly take out photo and placed in front of you. Does Miss You know something like this? You doubtfully reached out to look at the photo. It looked like golden safe lock. You had saw this somewhere else, but you don't exactly remember where. You smiled. May I ask, Mr. Kim, if there is anything special about this safe lock? Actually, there is nothing special about it. He smiled sadly. His voice was much calmer. It is almost exactly the same as all the safety locks, but this one is special because of its material and its back. Material and the back. You paused and looked carefully and find out it's different from the ordinary safety lockers. This safe lock is custom made by my grandfather. You nodded, but from this photo I can only see the front. The back can't be seen at all. He handed another picture that contains pack of safe locks. You didn't know the difference first, but suddenly heard Bhumi shouting from behind. Young madam, there are words engraved on the back. You looked at and noticed that there was words on the back. Sarang, what do these words mean? Bomi asked doubtfully. Until now, she still didn't understand Sokjin's intention. He asked about the safe lock, but why? You didn't usually come to contact with these things, so how could you know? Sarang, it means love. You definitely don't know if he have any bad intention to ask you about this kind of things. You're not familiar with these things. Mr. Kim, why did you suddenly ask this? He felt that it was hard to say. After a moment, he swallowed his words and changed his words. Miss Yu, have you never seen this safe lock before? You frowned and shook your head. I have never seen this before. You put back pictures and handed back to him. Mr. Kim, did you lose this lock? Are you looking for it now? He was a little disappointed. This glue was completely broken. Yes, this safety lock is attached to a very important person. I'm looking for the person who wears this safety lock. You made O-shape understanding, so that's how it is. Why don't you give it a try in the newspaper? Put it in the newspaper. He has already thought about it, but that would cause a lot of trouble with the status of the Kim family on South. Many people with ill intention would come to contact him once he publicized the picture. You also thought and rejected own idea. It doesn't seem practical to publish it in the newspaper. There are too many logs. Who knows, there will be a lot of imposters looking for things like this, and it actually looks like baby's item, and it should be very old and valuable. You also thought and put your face between your hands as if you are in deep thoughts. This manner, it was more like his heart skipped a beat. He almost blurted out when he wanted to say, but at the end he looked at Jae-sang and booming behind you. I have something important to ask with your young madam. Can you guys? Boomy immediately rejected. Thus, Sukjin was being gentleman a while ago and asking for privacy now. Turns out it was just a cover. Now he actually wanted to send them away. Boomy was protective and Jisang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He felt that his judgment was very accurate since yesterday when Sokjin carried you to the ward. He didn't touch you. He was gentleman. So Jisang felt that Sokjin was really a gentleman. It was just that there must be another reason why he treated young madam this way, and the Susie's thought was the same as Jae-sang. Sokjin seemed to be very good to you, but there was not the slightest bit of love between. It was more like that kind of feeling between relatives. That's right. Kim Sokjin looked like a steady elder brother. Thinking, Jae-sang pulled Bhumi's sleeve, signaling her to be quiet. She ignored Uncle Sai and went to pull your hand. You could see that Sokjin had something important to ask you, so you asked Bhumi to stay by side and give some space. She pouted. Young madam, who knows if he's a good person? She said very quietly, but it was very obvious that Sokjin heard it. He wasn't angry, he's calm as before. You comforted Bhumi, and Uncle Sai pulled her to the side. She was really unwilling to leave your side. So she was forced by Jae-sang. She was angry. Why do I feel that man has bad intention? Uncle Sai, why are you listening to him? Jae-sang explained not to think like that because he was the respective person in South as same as Jungkook. He's the director of Kim Group that was collaborating. The way he looked at you was not the way people with bad intention looked, but more his eyes flashed care. Bhumi was shocked. She misunderstood Sukjin. She didn't know that the man was powerful as same as her young master, but she still little annoyed and looked at the direction of you. You lowered your eyes, thinking he must be asking about Yuri's matter. Why, you are mistaken. I'm not going to ask about the matter between you and Yuri. It is about yourself, about me. You looked at him surprised. He nodded. After a long, he took out the pictures of baby. Small baby, have fair skin and cute look. So cute. You liked the baby. When you saw it, you held it in your hands and smiled. Mr. Kim, whose child is this? He couldn't help but smile when he saw you like this. If he said something at this time, what it would be you, would it scare you? Although he still wasn't sure yet, deep in his heart he felt, and his intention to told you that perhaps you are the person he had been looking for all this time. That's right. You are the baby that disappeared long ago from Kim family. You are also his younger sister, Kim Sarang. Mr. Kim, you are looking for the baby, right? The safety lock that you showed just now is this baby's, right? Yes, he nodded. You didn't expect him to look for this child. You felt a little embarrassed, thinking bad as you wanted to bite own tongue off. He is gentle and gentle. You apologized and quickly returned the baby's picture. He sat there silently for a moment before opening his mouth weakly. Can I ask you a private question? He thought that was only one that can be recognized. A private question? He again thought, and didn't sound good to ask a girl if she had a birthmark on her butt. That was something only perverts would do, right? He really couldn't ask such a question. Only he himself knew about this, because when Sarang was born, he had personally seen it. At that time, his mother had specially told him about the birthmark, about his sisters. He was 10 years old that time. Oma, why baby Sarang have this thing here? His mother placed his younger sister on his lap and kissed his hair softly. Sokjini, you must remember that it's birthmark of your sisters. You shouldn't harm it. In the future, you can use this method to recognize your sister. Then his sister was really gone. However, he was unable to rely on this birthmark to find her. He was not ashamed of his mother's instrument. His mother's dying wish was to find his sister. There was a human traffickers who troubled many people and kidnapped kids. That's how he lost his sister when she was just 2 years old. Later on, he found Yuri and brought her to his mother's grave, but he always felt something wrong. Only when he saw you that time felt different. He couldn't figure out but investigate. Perhaps he introduced wrong person. Perhaps the person he was looking was not Yuri but you. That's why he didn't stop investigating even after he found Yuri. He was not satisfied until you crossed the path, although there was not enough evidence to confirm it and there was no progress in the investigation of all the information. He felt as if he had gone mad and believed that the person in front of him was the sister he had been looking for. Sometimes he wondered if he has really gone crazy. He had clearly seen you once but started to ask Susie to investigate your information. He stared at you just because you gave him the feeling that you were the person, but even if he was crazy. At this time, he don't want to admit. He felt that he just wanted to complete the task his mother had given him. It was also a mental illness. Since he was young, he had always been looking for his younger sister. For the past 18 years, even after he found Yuri, he felt that he had never truly let go of his hurt. Although all the news was right about Yuri, he felt that something was wrong. At the end, he didn't ask anything he couldn't ask. So, what if he scared you away? Or perhaps he would hurt Yuri? Being like that, you understood his conflicted expression on his face and deep pain that was engraved in his eyes. The feeling that he emitted was especially conflicted, you could clearly see. You thought he would ask, but didn't expect him to suppress it in. You were extremely curious and encouraged him to ask, but he just held back, smiling bitterly. Nothing, let's talk about this later. You agree. When the foods came, he didn't have the appetite, so he excused himself, looking at watch, and said he have things to do in his company. You nodded and let him go first. Because you still needed to eat something, he went to pay a bill and then walked out of the cafe with extremely gloomy expression. Bhumi and Jae-sang quickly came to his side. Bhumi asked curiously what Sokjin asked about that needed privacy, and he looked conflicted when he left. You saw she was very steady in the villa, but suddenly curious when she came out. You slightly smiled and tell that he actually didn't say anything. She was wondering, but Uncle Sai immediately made her to come back to her senses. You softly explained and asked them to sit down to eat together. Uncle Sai didn't accept that first because servant and master don't eat together, but you insisted. It was already family food and looked good. Besides, it was lot there that you can't eat alone, so you asked them to eat with you. It is no different from you and them, and the food is delicious to share. Bhumi was fluttered and suddenly hugged you. Young madam, you are the best person I have ever seen. Don't worry, I will not tell young master anything about what happened today. You were speechless. She was actually a foodie. Well, today's matter was not big deal. You don't have any relation with Kim Sokjin? She nodded and said not to be worried. Sokjin was gentleman. He should be a gentleman, and we can see it, young madam. It's just that he seems to have special feelings for you, but I don't know. You fell on silent hearing her. You didn't expect her to think that way. She met Kim Sokjin for the first time and have this kind of feeling. You had thought that you are the only one who has this kind of feeling. However, because it was your personal thoughts, you never dared to say anything. You were afraid that others would say that you were thinking too much. You also felt that kind of special feeling, just like how he cared for you like elder brother. But later, you told yourself it was probably because you and Yuri were good friends and he's her elder brother. That was why you had this kind of feeling, Yuri. Your eyes darkened. She was a problem. You didn't know when the problem in your life solved. Jungkook said he would give you answer, but he still had not given it to you. At night, you were too silent and didn't talk much. He hugged you to fall asleep as usual. In the darkness, your breathing was uneven, and the man behind you also did not breathe evenly. What happened to you? Are you still not going to sleep? You blinked in the darkness and suddenly turned around to lie in his arms. He tightened his arms around you. You are hiding in his arms. You have insomnia? He was silent for a while before reaching his big hand to your waist and gently stroked it. His voice was low, like a slowly playing violin, hoarse and deep. Since we can't sleep, let's do something meaningful. The person in his arms was quiet for a moment. Suddenly, you hit his chest hard. He laughed and accepted your punch. He took the opportunity to hold you tightly. I was just saying, why are you so angry? Don't think about it. Your voice was muffled as you pressed your face. I can't even think about it. No, you are really domineering. He couldn't help but laugh again. He really liked your behavior. In the darkness, the atmosphere was sweet and greasy. You originally wanted to ask him how his situation was, but after being disturbed by him, you actually forgot about it. After saying a few words to him, he pressed the back of your head. All right? Women need to rest early. We will talk about it later.